We're starting from 95.19. Yeah, so the previous background, the earlier 18 sentences, this is what I was briefly summarizing. Savitri is now getting education in various branches of learning, both secular and spiritual or esoteric. She has a comprehensive background now of all the departments of art and literature and sciences, astronomy, physics, chemistry, philosophy. Then of course painting, music, dance, sculpting. She is having a very comprehensive education mind. But along with that, she also has a remarkable spiritual development already. She is one, therefore, who is accomplished in what the Upanishad would say in Apara Vidya and Para Vidya. Apara, the lower knowledge, Para, the higher transcendental knowledge. So she is already introduced, initiated in all the branches of knowledge in that sense at a very early stage. Now, of course, we don't have here for our aid. So, the grades by which she climbed, 7th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, go to the university, it is not that kind of a thing. But one can perhaps summarize from the way in which the description goes that this must have been roughly from the age of 10, 12 to the age of about 20. In Savitri is becoming a full grown young woman, young girl, you see, about to get married, so to say. So she is already established in that. She is, of course, given knowledge in martial arts, in warrior craft, driving chariot, wielding weapons. I mean, she has a very comprehensive education in that sense, you see. And some of the experiences which she has, spiritual experiences, they show already her exceptional qualities. You see, for instance, we have got here on the previous page, she has knowledge, boundless knowledge, greater than man's thought, 95.16, greater than man's thought, already boundless knowledge, a happiness too high for human heart to feel and sense. And then a splendor of her native royalty, her majesty of the original birth of Savitri, of the transcendental birth, her greatness and her sweetness and her bliss, her might to possess and her vast power to love. That is the psychic quality which is already seen in the case of Savitri. Earth made a stepping stone to conquer heaven. So she is already aware in a way about her spiritual mission. Live on earth, conquer heaven. Conquer heaven for what? To bring that heaven down here upon earth. The soul saw beyond heaven's limiting boundaries. Now this is most remarkable. See, if you go outside and see the horizon line, beyond that horizon line, her soul is able to see something even beyond that horizon line. What is the unknowable, which is not something which can be grasped at all, the ineffable. She is already having some kind of understanding knowledge of the unknowable. Her might to possess and her vast power to live, the soul saw beyond heaven's limiting boundaries, met a great light from the unknowable. See, this is the most remarkable spiritual experience. Even great rishis, even great yogis would not have that kind of a thing. Or Savitri is already there with that kind of a thing. And then, of course, she has something different apart from the spiritual realizations. Spiritual realizations, perhaps a great tapasvin, great rishi might get, would get also. But Savitri has something more than that. She wished to make all one embrace. Her concern is to embrace the entire universe, the entire creation, keep everybody in the fold of her love. She wished to make all one immense embrace that she might house in it all living things, raise to a splendid point of seeing light out and make them, what for? Embrace them for what? Everybody. To make them one with God and world and her. It is that identity not only with the divine but also with his creation and with her own consciousness force. It is that sort of a spiritual realization Savitri is already having. Obviously, this is something which is absolutely exceptional. It does not happen, as I said, in the case of even great rishis or tapasvins or sannyasis or sages, whatever you want to call them. They don't have normally this sort of a thing. But Savitri is already in possession of that spiritual siddhi. Naturally, as a young girl, maybe around 20 or so, will be somebody totally different from all her companions and comrades and associates and friends and inmates. She will be somebody different. Naturally, very few will respond to her. Her demand is so great, not only spiritual, not only the worldly demand, but the spiritual demand also is so great that very few will match her, will be able to respond to her. So we have got here 95.19. Only a few responded to her call. Still fewer felt the screened divinity. Her comrades, her friends, very few see that there is something very divine in her and strove to mate its Godhead with their own, that her Godhead will become one with their Godhead, very few, approaching with some kinship to her heights. So that shows how Savitri stands apart from everybody. But then that also becomes a problem because she doesn't have a mate in that case, you see. Approaching with some kinship to her height, uplifted towards luminous secrecies, or conscious of some splendor hidden above, they live to find her in a moment of flash. Sometimes some flash will come in their mind, in their soul, in their heart. And with that flash, they would like to see, oh, what this Savitri is, what are her qualities. Very few will come to that. They live to find her in a moment of flesh. Glimpse the light in a celestial vast. That is the light in celestial vast. But could not keep a vision and a power and fell back to life's dull, ordinary tone. Naturally, to see something remarkable in her, the great light, but they are not able to receive it, they are not able to bear it So they will fall back upon their common, usual, ordinary things. Fell back to life's dull, ordinary tone. A mind daring heavenly experiment, growing towards some largeness, they felt near. Yes, there were few people who had some kind of a perception, and here is a mind. What does it do? That it is daring to do some heavenly experiment, growing towards some largeness, tasting the unknowns bound with eager touch. The unknowns bound, she is able to go and touch, eager touch. They still were prisoned by their human grain, so they were locked in their own swabhava, in their own character, in their own mold, in their own way of doing things in life here. Human grain, that is what we are. They could not keep up with her tireless step. The way in which she would walk, they would not be able to pace with her at all, you see. In fact, that is what happened. If you have seen the mother walking in the playground or on the beach, she should really walk very, very fast. Her steps were really jammed. Yeah. You must have seen. You have not noticed, no?
I was not there that time when she was walking.
But at least the photographs are there.
Yeah. You can see the steps.
Yeah, I've seen her walking like that. It was really great to see. They still, tasting the unknowns bound with eager touch, they still were prisoned by their human grain. They could not keep up with her tireless step. Too small and eager for her large paced will. Her will also, the way we should determine and do things, it was too great for them to catch up. Too narrow to look with the unborn infinite's gaze. Their gaze of the infinite has not yet taken birth in them. The gaze of the infinite has not taken birth yet in them. And with whatever human gaze they have, what can they see about her? Too narrow. Their nature very grew of things too great. Their nature, their physical nature, their mental nature, as it feels exhausted, feels tired. They cannot cope up with the demand, so they cannot withdraw from that. Weary, could not match, their nature very grew things too great. For even the close partners of her thoughts, those who have grown with her, perhaps in the school or whatever, you see, they could not match, their thoughts could not match with her thoughts. Who could have walked the nearest to her ray, worshipped power and light they felt in her? Well, there was something still great in them. They could see some light coming from her, some power emanating from her. They could feel that, and they would worship it, they would adore it, they would really admire it also. But obviously, they cannot meet the demand of that power, of that light. Worship the power and light they felt in her, but could not match the measure of her soul. A friend, yes, obviously she was friend because she has embraced everybody in her embrace, in her love. A friend, and yet too great, holy to know. She walked in their front towards a greater light. Their leader and queen were the hearts and soul. She was the queen of them all. One closed their bosoms, yet divine and far, very intimate, very human, very close, yet there was always something, that greatness in her, that divinity was there always. Admiring and amazed, they saw her stride, attacking with a godlike rush and leap. That is the way she would move. Godlike rush and leap. Heights for their human stature too remote. They cannot even look at those heights. Too remote. Or with a slow, great many-sided toil, pushing towards aims they hardly could conceive. Her aims were so far away from them, they could not even imagine what she is thinking of, what she is doing. pushing towards aim they hardly could conceive, yet forced to be the satellites of her sun. See, they were so far away, yet they were sort of bound to her, the way the planets are bound to the sun. It is in that way. They cannot touch the sun, but they are bound to the sun. They move around the sun. Yet forced to be the satellites of her sun, they moved unable to forego her light. They would not like to go away from her light. They would not be able to bear it. It's okay, but still they don't want to walk away from that light. Run away. Desiring they clutched at her with outstretched hands, or followed, stumbling in the path she made. She would walk, and along that path they would walk, but they would keep on stumbling all along. Now, obviously, this is not only the physical picture, but also the psychological, spiritual picture of all the people who are there around her. Now, she has been saying here along, they. In fact, the whole description starts, only a few responded to her call. The descriptions, only a few. Now, who are these only a few? Well, she is a girl, but this does not necessarily mean that all all the girls, they are only girls. No, they are all youth, prince, heroes, warriors, kings. They're all there around her because she has grown now to a stature of getting married, to the stage of getting married, you see. So, or longing with the self of life and flesh, they clung to her for heart's nourishment and support. It is from her they would get nourishment for their heart. The rest they could not see in visible light. What is beyond what they get from her nourishment, the food, so to say, beyond that food, they cannot see what she is. Vaguely they bore her inner mightiness, or bound by the senses and the long heart, and the longing heart, adoring with a turbid human love. They could not grasp the mighty spirit she was, obviously, or changed by closeness to be even as she. They were very intimate with her, to move along with her, around her, but that closeness would not make them any greater to equal her. In fact, he says here, are bound with the senses and the longing heart, adoring with a turbid human love. Now, obviously, these are all worldly people. They don't have necessarily spiritual experiences. They are not changed their nature. The whole full vital force is there, bubbling, rushing the life, and naturally, that turbidity of the vital will be there when they see such a beautiful girl there around, and that kind of a passion will arouse in them. So, all these people had that feeling, yet they would not be able to match with her. Adoring with a turbid human love, they could not grasp the mighty spirit she was, or change by closeness to be even as she. Some felt her with their souls and thrilled with her. Obviously, when the soul feels, it is joy in the feeling, in the association. A greatness felt near, yet beyond mind's grasp. Obviously, what can mind understand? To see her was a summons to adore. It was a command. It was an adesh. It was a call also. Summon to adore her. Yes, she is the greatness. To adore her. To be near her drew a high communion, suppose, the force of union, of becoming one with each other. It is that which drew them nearer to her. To men, so men worship a God too great to know. This is what normally happens. I mean, God is so great, so different from us. All that we can do is go and worship Him. We cannot be like Him, you see. So it is like that. Savitri has become for them all a goddess. Worship her, adore her, pray to her, and that kind of a thing. But you cannot be one with her companionship. You see. So man worship a god too great to know, too high, too vast to wear a limiting shape. She cannot take a finite form. Although she has a physical form, human form, yet behind that human form is a vastness of infinity. Too high, too vast, to very limiting shape. They feel a presence and obey a might. That is the important thing. See, in other words, although they cannot equal themselves with her, they have something in them. Yes, this is somebody exceptional, somebody great, mighty, towards whom they are attracted. They see the presence. The divine himself is residing in that human person. They could feel that. So that is also a great perception already. They feel the presence and obey a might, power. Presence and power. Both of them are present in Savitri simultaneously. The divine presence and the divine Shakti, they are there together. And these people, ordinary people, they have something in them by which they perceive, yes, this lady, she is somebody different. She is holding in her physical body the divine presence itself, the divine Shakti herself is residing in her soul. They could feel that. They feel a presence and obey a might, adore a love whose rapture invades their breast. They see her and they feel extremely happy, and in that rapture they adore her as you would adore a goddess. To a divine asha, quickening the heart beats, they would like to rush and be closer to her. Divine asha, enthusiasm, a law they follow, greatening heart and life. Well, that is what a common human person would do. You are in company of somebody great, somebody exceptional. So you have written your life, you have written your spirit, you have written your aspiration, your qualities of living here. A law they follow, greatening heart and life, open to a breath is a new diviner air. So what happens when you adore a person, you open yourself to a diviner air.